Matt Ryan trade destinations. These are the videos that I absolutely love. And if you like these type of videos, go ahead and like it. Mitchell Renz, Tom Downey coming at you here, NFL Daily by Chat Sports. And the Falcons, man, they're blowing it up. They just fired Dan Quinn. And the reason why we're making this is because, well, Matt Ryan's probably their most trade asset,
Dimitroff also got fired. And that is significant to me because that clearly means Atlanta is set up for a rebuild of some type. Is it a massive one? Is it more of a year or 2-year rebuild? Do you try and reload with Matt Ryan at the helm? Look, Falcons CEO Rich McKay said on Monday, not going to be a fire sale, but he will let the next regime decide to blow it up or not. But they would be listening if a good offer came through. And I think in particular, that might relate to Matt Ryan. The Falcons, even though they don't have a current GM, they have to be honest about where they're at. Matt Ryan is 35 years old. He is no longer in his prime, but he is still a starting or a quality starting quarterback.
Agreed.
So doesn't it make more sense if you want to maximize the asset that you have of an aging quarterback who's still minimum top 20 NFL player? What benefit do the Falcons have having aging Matt Ryan on their roster right now?
Absolutely none.
Exactly. So if you can find a trade partner for Matt Ryan, I think you wouldn't be doing your job as an organization if you didn't at least explore it. Now, there is some problems with trading away Matt Ryan, namely his contract. He's actually very cheap for his next team because the Falcons have restructured his contract several times. Now, all of the cap space that they're losing in 2020 and 2021, they're benefiting from right now.
Yep.
But regardless, if you trade Matt Ryan today, there's a negative $2.5 million cap hit on this team. You lose that amount of money.
Okay.
In addition to what you were already paying Matt Ryan. Next year, because you cannot make it a post-June 1st trade and spread the money out over 2 years like you can this season, it's actually minus 3.5 relative to the $40 million cap hit he has. So he's going to count 43 on your cap next year.
Whew.
That's massive. But if you're blowing it up, you don't care about the cap space.
You care about
the draft picks.
Bingo.
That's what you want if you're the Falcons. So they should at least explore and see what offers they get.
That's why we're making today's video. Should the Falcons trade quarterback Matt Ryan? Give us a Y for yes, or you can type that N for no. We are going to make this the pinned comment on today's video. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you're going to get hit with the YouTube ad break. While that ad is playing, I want you to scroll on down and let us know, should the Falcons trade Matt Ryan? Y for yes, or N for no. The number 4 destination here for Matt Ryan trade destinations, the Dallas Cowboys. And they can't see you. You got your arms folded. You look like you're thinking, why?
There's kind of 2 different angles you can approach this for the Cowboys. Number 1, hey, we are 2-3. We're in first place in the NFC East. Matt Ryan is not very expensive from a salary cap perspective. He's an upgrade over Andy Dalton. You could get wild with it. Let Dalton start for a few weeks while Matt Ryan gets up to speed on the offense. Trade for Matt Ryan. Let's say hypothetically it's a 2nd or 3rd round pick. Okay. Somewhere in that range is probably the most the Cowboys would be prepared to trade away. Then you can make a decision next offseason of, hey, do we franchise tag Dak? Was Matt Ryan so good we just roll with him for another year or 2? Or do you then go the Aroldis Chapman style, trade for a player at the deadline, and then flip him in the offseason? So it requires a lot of creativity. I don't think it's the most likely outcome for the Cowboys because I think the asking price from the Falcons is higher than what the Cowboys could pay right now. Because even if you trade for Matt Ryan, the defense is so bad. Are you a legit contender, or are you more of a 15th team in the NFL? And if it's the latter, don't trade away your draft picks.
I don't see Matt Ryan playing linebacker anytime soon. So pick a quarterback here. Type MR for Matt Ryan. Type DP for Dak Prescott. I know the injury sucks. I think he's going to come back, strong. I'm going Dak Prescott.
I think it's clearly Dak Prescott. Yeah, that injury was brutal. Honestly, I'd rather have that than like the Drew Brees shoulder injury.
Yeah,
like that's kind of Dak's in a similar place. He was franchise tagged that then got hurt. I think a tag's coming again. I think long term and even probably for next year, you would rather have Dak Prescott on your team.
So the other teams here are some teams that are just, not good enough. And we believe that if you're going to go out and trade for Matt Ryan, you got to be in the running for it. Sorry, Bronco fans out there, but Giants, Jets, Washington.
Exactly. Like these are teams that, yes, they need a quarterback.
Absolutely.
But what's the benefit for them getting an aging veteran? Oh, yay, we've got him for the next year when we're not competing in the way we need to be. So Off-season, maybe if they spend a lot of money, they could make some sense, but right now, absolutely not. In reality, there weren't very many teams that I liked as fits for Matt Ryan.
Yep.
Some future needs down the road, probably not this season, but if the Lions want to move on from Matthew Stafford, if the Vikings want to just eat the Kirk Cousins money that's going to be owed to him next year, if Big Ben gets injured or retires, an injury to Big Ben could vault Pittsburgh to number 1 on my list, quite frankly. And then Raiders and Patriots, see how things go, and if they want to move on from their quarterback in the offseason, or if they lose their quarterback, which is more for Cam Newton and New England.
So let us know, what is Matt Ryan's trade value? Is it a first-round pick? Is it a second-round pick, third, fourth? Let us know down there. What do you believe Matt Ryan's trade value is?
He is 35, and I struggle with this a lot. That's why I wanted to see what you guys have to say. He's got, let's say, 3 years left.
Yep.
If you had gotten Peyton Manning at the end, which I don't think you're going to quite get from Matt Ryan, wasn't that worth at least a first?
Oh, yeah. You won a Super Bowl.
I think minimum, if you're the Falcons, it's got to be a top 50 pick and possibly multiple picks. We'll see if teams have interest in that this season or in the offseason, too.
Matt Ryan trade destinations here on NFL Daily, and the Chicago Bears, they come in our top 3. I mean, anytime you talk about a quarterback being open there, the Bears obviously come up to mind.
Bears fans, I know you might be worried about, the contract for Matt Ryan, it's so expensive. Because the Falcons have restructured his deal so many times, It's actually not that bad for a potential next team. It'd actually be pretty darn cheap, in fact, for this year. Maybe like $1 million maybe.
You're talking, it's funny, though, we continue to talk about a 4-1 team needing a quarterback, but I would actually say with a quarterback, this defense is playing lights out, and it's almost like, they go back to looking like that 2018 defense that was legit, and that's one of the biggest reasons why they were 12-4, but Nick Foles is still winning games, Tom.
Yes, but is he the reason they've been winning games? I think in general, he's been better, he's been more accurate. There have been some mistakes, though, from Nick Foles, and in all honesty, you can look at the numbers here. It's not that different. Now, again, Foles entered the game. The way they've done his contract, he's going to stick around at least as a backup for a year or two. But if you're the Bears, don't you know what? Clearly, Matt Ryan is a better player than Nick Foles. And if you're GM Ryan Pace and head coach Matt Nagy, and you're fighting for your job, and if you collapse, you might get fired, wouldn't you worry about the future later and go all in right now while you have a defense that can compete? Yeah. I think it makes a lot of sense for Chicago if they want to be aggressive, which I think, given their current status in the front office, they should be.
We are talking about Matt Ryan trade destinations, and if you're the player that you get a jersey from, he gets traded, there is jersey insurance, so you get a new one for free. Go to chatsports.com/jersey sale. There is one jersey that is up to 33% off. I'm not going to tell you who it is. I want you to go check it out and find for yourself. Chatsports.com/jersey sale. They got all 32 NFL teams, hundreds of jerseys, new jerseys, rookies as well, all at that link.
Those Falcons ones, by the way, are the old jerseys, and because of that, even though I like them quite a bit, they're actually even further discounted than most of the jerseys on there. So if I like the all reds, I don't know about you, Mitch, but I think it's a pretty good deal.
Chatsports.com/jersey sale. That link is available for you in the live chat. It's also available for you in the description below. Go ahead, get yourself a new NFL jersey, and if your player gets traded, guess what? Jersey insurance exists for a reason. Indianapolis Colts next up here on our list of Matt Ryan trade destinations.
Is Phillip Rivers the answer?
No.
I think they should at least explore Matt Ryan then. Now, again, it kind of puts you in a similar spot where, we got an older guy, but our defense is good. When the offensive line is healthy, it's good. Anthony Costanzo, I think, was a big reason why Rivers played so poorly last week against the Cleveland Browns. Rivers has 1 year left on his deal.
Yep.
The long-term impact of that, and Brissett left too, non-existent. Like they're not going to eat a bunch of dead money. The problem for me is kind of twofold. What do you do with Jacob Eason? I think the answer there is let him develop. He's not ready anyway. He was not ready coming out.
But you don't think he's ever going to actually be a starting caliber quarterback, do you?
The arm
he's got the
is
upside.
there. Check in a few years. He has the upside. And those guys, more often than not, don't end up hitting. It would be kind of awkward, though, for the Colts, because they signed Rivers, they made him the starter. He hasn't been atrocious. He hasn't been very good either. I don't think he'd take too kindly to a benching.
Yeah.
And with a veteran of his status, sometimes teams get a little bit skittish about cutting that type of player because it might reflect poorly on an organization. So I'd explore it, but the Rivers deal this year, him having signed, is a bit of a hiccup. The Colts might make a lot of sense, maybe even number one sense, after the season ends, too.
If y'all want daily NFL videos, then go ahead and subscribe to Chat Sports. We pump out videos every single day, 3 hours literally every day, and they're 100% free. We do ask for you to subscribe, but we do that because that helps us keep the channel for free. I don't know about you. We're not begging for money. All we ask is that you click that big red button that says subscribe. That way we can keep our channel for free. Tom and I, everyone here at Chat Sports, we love what we do. So please, all we ask, support the channel. Click that big red button. The number one team for Matt Ryan, and I love this, the 49ers.
I mean, he gets to go back to the coach, which I guess play caller technically, that got the most out of him.
Oh, yeah.
That is Kyle Shanahan. Now, the way Jimmy Garoppolo's contract is structured, specifically for next year, easy to get out of it. They structured it very well. They never restructured it to add a bunch of dead money. They're in good shape. The Niners' in-season mindset would be, our schedule's tough. We have a limited window with all of these cheaper players, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Okay.
Let's go all in right now. I'm not convinced, looking at their schedule, that that's something that San Francisco wants to do. But if Ryan's going to get traded mid-season, doesn't it make the most sense that he goes to a coach that he is eminently familiar with?
Yep.
And from a scheme perspective, legit could probably start day one. I mean, even Matt Ryan not knowing the offense would be better than Beathard or Mullins. And Jimmy Garoppolo, when I think he's pretty clearly not healthy right now.
So pick a quarterback, Jimmy G or Matt Ryan. Type JG for Garoppolo or type MR for Matt Ryan. You kind of said that he wouldn't know the offense. I think he would.
It would be a little bit different. It's not quite a one-for-one copy.
But Kyle Shanahan's systems stay relatively the same, and I'm a believer that Matt Ryan, being the veteran that he is, being the smart player that he is, would be able to pick up the little differences.
He would know enough that he'd be able to fake it through until he fully mastered it. I think that's what you would be looking for in a mid-season trade. Shanahan would scale back the offense if he, frankly, hasn't already. I think Matt Ryan would fit very well in San Francisco. I just don't know if the Niners want to go all in and give up, let's say, a second-round pick, if not more, for Ryan right now.
Anthony Karras says MR. Sergio Moran says MR all day. Eon Kelly, MR. Trip 907. Andrew Voiskas, I don't know if I got that even kind of right. Justin Hudson, The Adventures of Morgan and Eric, all type in their MR for Matt Ryan. I'm in agreement. I'm going to take Matt Ryan over Jimmy Garoppolo.